nights we talk about human reason. And tonight we're going to be looking at human reason from the perspective of the impeachment. The impeachment is human reason. And my purpose for, all right, you guys get ready back there. I'm finna teach. All right, let's get them sit down back there, Bumblebee. Thank you very much. Let's get them set. Let's get them set back there. Thank you. Thank you. See, that's why we need the men back there. Let's go. Let's get them children down and be quiet. We're finna teach. We're going to be looking at the impeachment. And we're going to be looking at the impeachment from the point of view, excuse me, of human reason. For that's all it is. And I was moved to look at this through, excuse me, human reason, based on many of you have been concerned about the impeachment and looking at it. And it does going to have a profound effect on how we are treated here, us that are true believers, the elect in this United States of America. So tonight, I decided to look at it from the point of view of human reason, because that's all it is. We talked about it months ago. And it hit me this morning when I was studying what scripture we had used. We used the scripture based on human reason months ago, and I went and read it in the Amplified Bible. And the way I taught it out of the King James Bible is the same way it is written in or translated in the Amplified Bible. Now, what I'm going to start off doing is reading to you some things about power and control, because that's what it is all about. At first, let me show you a couple of excerpts. That I recorded that I want you to see, and this can give you maybe a better understanding of what this impeachment is about. Let me go here first. Okay. Let me go here first.
Oh, what?
Okay. Shh. Come on, be quiet. Go here first. All right. Why you can't hear it? Well, I got the volume on. Can't the volume on. Why you can't hear it? Oh, I don't know.
He claimed, quote, "We do that all the time with foreign policy," end quote, end quote.
Send a question to the desk for the House managers.
Thank you.
Good.
So you got your Republicans on the, well, y'all say your Republicans is on the right hand side, your Democrats is on the left side. So it takes one senator, he brings a question, you got your Republicans over here, your Democrats over here. You can see already it's a
Question
divided
from
house.
Senator Corona for the House managers reads as follows. In contrast to arguments by the President's counsel, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney stated that President Trump held up aid to Ukraine to get his politically motivated investigations. He claimed, quote, "We do that all the time with foreign policy," end quote, get over it, end quote. What was different about President Trump's withholding of aid to Ukraine from prior aid freezes? Are you aware of any other presidents who have withheld foreign aid as a bribe to extract personal benefits?
So then, see who's going to answer. Like I say, you got your Democrats on that side, out of here. We said, I believe this is Adam Schiff. I believe Adam Schiff is going to answer. The question was posed to the House manager. House managers is the Democratic Party. The counsel for the White House is the Republican Party. So you got a divided house already. This is a divided house. They said Trump haven't done nothing wrong. The Democrats is the one who want him impeached. So this is Adam Schiff. This is a good one here.
Thanks, Senator. I'll respond
respond to the question, but let me begin with something in the category of you can't make this stuff up. Today, while we've been debating whether a president can be impeached for essentially bogus claims of privilege for attempting to use the courts to cover misconduct, the Justice Department, in resisting House subpoenas, is in court today and was asked, well, if the Congress can't come to the court to enforce the subpoenas, because as we know, they're in here arguing Congress must go to court to enforce the subpoenas, but they're in the court saying, Congress, thou shalt not do that. So the judge says, if the Congress can't enforce its subpoenas in court, then what remedy is there? And the Justice Department lawyer's response is, impeachment. Impeachment. You can't make this up. I mean, what more evidence do we need of the bad faith of this effort to cover up? I said the other day, they're in this court making this argument, they're down the street making the other argument. I didn't think they'd make it on the same day. But that's exactly what's going on. Now, in response to the question about how is this aid different, this hold different from other holds, it's certainly appropriate to ask that question. The laws Congress passed authorizing this appropriation did not allow for the hold by this president, and as the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, found, it violated the law to hold the aid the way it did. Once the Department of Defense, in consultation with the Department of State, certified that Ukraine had met the anti-corruption benchmarks required under the law, there was nothing that would allow for a hold. The money had to flow. And that was intentional. Military assistance to Ukraine is critical to our national security. It has overwhelming bipartisan support. And recall that in the spring of...
So he's talking about the $391 million that he withheld that he's supposed to send to Ukraine. That's what they're talking about.
What?
You can understand what
What?
you guys. I know some of y'all been following along with it, because I heard you talking about it.
What?
This is what the impeachment is about.
What?
Supposed to gave Ukraine $391 for a war, but but he withheld the $391 because he wanted Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden and find some dirt on him. He said, until you investigate Joe Biden and find the dirt on him, I'm not giving you this $391. You go and you investigate Joe Biden, you find some dirt on it, you bring it back to me so that I can use in the 2020 campaign, then I'll release the $391. That's what it's all about.
2019, the Defense Department certified Ukraine had met all the anti-corruption benchmarks. The Department of State sent the Senate letter saying that the benchmarks had been met. It issued a press release saying that the aid was moving forward.
So everything had been met. It had qualified and everything, but he wouldn't let the money go because he wanted that quid pro quo. They met all the qualifications, but he still held that money. He should have released it. That's what he's saying.
Forward. It began to spend the funds to help Ukraine, but then the president stepped in. Without legal authority, he secretly placed a hold on the aid. Now, the President's counsel in the presentation gives specific examples.
Remember what he said? He secretly did. Remember what he said? Secretly. You got to listen because this is going to have to do with my message. Everything that's going on is going to have to do with the message I'm going to preach today.
The past holds as if we cannot distinguish one for a corrupt reason and one that is for a policy reason. In many of the examples, the law explicitly provided the executive branch the authority to pause, reevaluate, or cancel foreign aid programs as the situation in the recipient country evolved. For example, with regard to foreign assistance to El Salvador, Honduras, or Guatemala, the law explicitly allows the Secretary of State to, quote, suspend in whole or in part that assistance if at any time the Secretary deems that, quote, sufficient progress has not been made by a central government on a host of priorities from respecting human rights to upholding the law. Those are the priorities that you, the Senate, agreed to.
Shaking like that because I got to stand up and hold it. That's a lot of work. That's why I shake it.
And the President was required to implement them. Similarly, aid to Afghanistan is subject to periodic reevaluations by law, and the law explicitly directs the Secretary of State should, quote, suspend assistance for the government of Afghanistan should it be assessed that the Afghan government is, quote, failing to make measurable progress in meeting certain anti-corruption, human rights, and counterterrorism benchmarks. The overthrow of the democratically elected government.
What he's saying is, we give money to everybody. We give money to Afghanistan to fight war, Iraq to fight a war, Iran to fight a war, in case y'all don't know what's going on in your country. So you have certain benchmarks and certain qualifications you have to meet. If you don't meet them certain qualifications and benchmarks, when they come to investigate, you don't get the money.
Right.
Government in Egypt, we've had that brought up as another example.
We give money to everybody.
This body, including Senators McCain, Leahy, and Graham, pressed the Obama administration to suspend military aid. It wasn't hidden from the Senate. It was urged on the administration by the Senate. Senators pressed for that aid to be withheld because the law was clear. In instances of a military coup, aid must be suspended. Senators McCain and Graham wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post. Not all coups are created equal, but a coup is still a coup. Morsi, that's the deposed leader of Egypt, quote, was elected by a majority of voters, and U.S. law requires the suspension of foreign assistance. I could go on and on with examples. No one has suggested you can't condition aid. But I would hope that we would all agree that you can't condition aid for a corrupt purpose, to try to get a foreign power to cheat in your election. Now, counsel says that if you decide...
Another word he used, what he used? Cheat! That's what I told you. America, all America cheat. From the White House all the way down. We just had the big scandal with the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox. They fired a lot of those coaches. The other ball players and the other Major League Baseball organizations is angry with them because they cheated. And that's how they won the World Series. The Boston Red Sox, I believe 2016, one of them years, and the Houston Astros in 2017. They're pissed off because they cheated. America cheats. That's what they teach our children to do. That's what America does. All in college, all of them to go to school. He probably got through his studies and everything by cheating. America just cheat. They're very corrupt. I keep telling y'all that. From the top all the way down to the bottom.
The prosecution has proved that he engaged in this corrupt scheme. If you decide as impartial jurors...
What kind of scheme?
The Constitution requires...
A corrupt scheme. Corrupt method. Everything messed up. Everything.
Political office that the public will not accept your judgment. I have more confidence...
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
So that was over.
From Senator Kane to the House Managers. If the Senate acquits the President on Article 2, after he violated both the Impoundment Control Act and the Whistleblower Act to hide the Ukraine scheme from Congress, what is to stop President Trump from complete refusal to cooperate with Congress on any matter?
What it is, he just do what he want to do. The reason I'm teaching this may be another step, a very important step towards one world order. Because if he gets through this, that means he's dictator. He can do what he want to do. Nobody can tell him no. That's what they saying is going to happen. If they don't impeach him, what they saying is going to happen is, then he will become a dictator, and then all other presidents behind him will become dictators and despots too. Because this will set a precedent.
Right.
They will look back and see this, and when they go to court, they will use this situation, this event right here, and say, well, when we went to court in 2020, and under President Trump, and they tried to convict him of not being able to use his executive orders the way he want to use them and when he get ready. They did not convict him of that, so since they couldn't convict him of that, they can't convict me of this right now.
Right.
He was Senate President. For those of you who don't understand, that's why it's so important. You gotta wait till they bring the question. She'll finna give his answer. But they asked him the question.
In short, consequence is there is no constraint on this president or any other.
What?
This gets to a point you've heard the counsel for the president repeat over and over. Can you be impeached for asserting privileges? And I would add, no matter how bogus or in bad faith those assertions may be. no matter whether they're in court today arguing the opposite of what they're arguing before you today? And the answer is yes, the president can.
Oh, come on.
From Senator Kane to the House managers. If the Senate acquits the president on Article 2, after he violated both the Impoundment Control Act and the Whistleblower Act to hide the Ukraine scheme from Congress, what is to stop President Trump from complete refusal to cooperate with Congress on any matter?
They said if they don't stop it now, who's going to stop them in the future?
In short, consequence is there is no constraint on this president or any other.
No constraint. Just do what the hell you want to do.
This gets to a point you've heard the counsel for the president repeat over and over.
What you say, J.D.?
Wild ass is cold.
You best believe it.
Can you be impeached for asserting privileges? And I would add, no matter how bogus or in bad faith those assertions may be.
He said bogus. What did we talk about in the Martin Luther? What did Martin Luther say that the wrestling step made? You guys don't remember? You don't remember. Assertions, statements. You guys don't remember. You need to read your book again. You're lost. You know, y'all don't forgot. He was making assertions, statements. Nothing to back up what he had to say. Just stuff that's rolling out of his mind. That's in your book you have right there before you're about to share the wheel. You have assertions in there. That's what Luther was telling Erasmus. That he was making up bogus assertions. He had no scripture to back up nothing he believed. That's human reason.
No matter whether they're in court today arguing the opposite of what they're arguing before you today. And the answer is yes, the president can be impeached for using the assertion of baseless claims to cover up his misconduct. The House did not impeach the president over a single assertion of privilege. We impeached him for a far more fundamental reason. Because he issued an order categorically directing the executive branch to defy every single part of every single subpoena served by the House. A president who issues orders like this is a president who can place himself above the law and a system of checks and balances. He can do whatever he wants and get away with it by using his powers to orchestrate a massive cover-up.
That's what he's doing. Just do what he wanted. That's what human reason does.
The president's lawyers haven't disputed that.
Now, make sure you see yourself. Don't look at him, because I can point out many of things that you have done the same thing. How you have made your own assertions to cover up your sin with me. I can point them out in your life too. So don't look at him all cross-eyed, because you are worse than him, because you say you believe in predestination and the sovereignty of God. And this is what you do when you make excuses. When you use human reason, you're trying to cover up your sin. That's what you're trying to do. And you believe within yourself that you can do what you want to do when you get ready, because you're so, quote, grown.
Amen.
Point. They can't. It's obvious the president.
Human reason is human reason. I don't care where you find it at. It's the same everywhere. From the top to the bottom, it's the same. The same human reason going on in Trump is the same human reason going on in those children back there right now. They have the same mindset that they can do what they want to do, and when they want to cover up their sin and their wickedness, they start crying and trying to get you to feel sorry for them, just like he does. And you do the same thing. You start crying, you take on a sad face because you want everybody to stop feeling sorry for you, to cover up your wickedness and your sin. You do the same exact thing. Exactly.
Ignores and can't ignore all oversight as a threat to the American people. Instead, they argue the assertion of a grab bag of legal privileges warranting this categorical defiance. These arguments are unprecedented and wrong. The first thing to note is the president's arguments conveniently ignore the October 8th letter sent at the president's behest declaring that the president will not, quote, participate, unquote.
That's you rejecting the word of God. That's you rejecting the word of God. When I give you the word of God, you reject it. You don't want to participate in it. That's you. So that's what I want you to see. I want you to be looking at here. I want you to see yourself. Because I'm teaching on human reason. That's how human reason is.
In the impeachment investigation, I will participate. This blanket defiance preceded all of the other letters and creative policy opinions the president relied upon. It made clear that the rationale for blanket defiance was...
That's these denominations. In these churches, the Roman Catholic, that's Kobe Bryant. That's denominations. They defy everything the word of God say. They use human reason too. And you got many of them right now going against this president, talking about him like a dog, and their pastor and their congregation is just like him. Exactly like him.
He just called human reason the rationale for defiance.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's you listening. That's what human reason is. It's a rationale for defiance. That's exactly what it is. That's what I'm telling you to listen. Because I heard it all. I said, and then I rewinded it and recorded this. Because all I heard was human reason. And that's what you need to hear. And that's the same thing you do. Exactly like Trump. Exactly. No difference. Human reason is human reason.
The president's belief that he can declare his own innocence.
Huh? Do you believe you can declare your own innocence? Yes, you try with me all the time. Yeah, you try to declare your own innocence. What I do? I ain't did nothing. What? Do you do it? Yes, you do. That's what human reason does.
And make it illegitimate to investigate him.
What? Don't question me, preacher. Don't investigate me. I'm grown.
Wow.
This was not about privileges or legal arguments. Those came later as his lawyers rushed to justify that Congress has no power whatsoever to enforce subpoenas against anyone.
Hey, bring me them scripture, preacher. You're not justified in that. You can't call me to the carpet and call me to court. Who do you think you is? I'm Trump.
Let's be clear.
What about the ones that don't left here, Jeremiah? It's not here no more. Huh? What about the ones that don't left here? This not what they told me? Yes, they did. What about the ones that don't left the ministry? Is this not what they told me? Yes, they did. Every one of them.
Amen.
Don't do your duty.
Preach. That's what he's telling them, isn't it? Don't do your duty on me. I'm Trump. Don't no law apply to me. I'm Donald Trump. Don't no word apply to me. You know who I am? I'm the great Cornelia. I'm the great Rose. I'm the great Michael Singleton. Don't no law apply to me. No reproof, no instruction, no rebuke. You don't check me with no law or no word. I am in power. Human reason.
They may claim that our October 8th letter where they said they will not participate was somehow an offer to accommodate. But what the real condition was that the House simply dropped the impeachment investigation or placed the president in charge of its direction. That wasn't a real offer. That was a poison pill. Now, what about the remaining arguments? The first one is that none of them justify his order to defy all the subpoenas. He never asserted executive privilege over any documents. And his remaining arguments that absolute immunity or agency counsel not being allowed to attend depositions have nothing to do with documents. Nothing. So none of his legal arguments even applies to his direction that every single office and agency defy every single subpoena for documents. And what about the total obstruction of witnesses? Here too, he never invoked executive privilege. Absolute immunity obviously couldn't apply to many of the lower level officials we subpoenaed. The only remaining legal ground for defiance was the argument it's unconstitutional for Congress to prevent agency counsel from going to depositions. The fallback of fallbacks. Except this rule was originally passed by a Republican Congress and has been used repeatedly by both Republican and Democrat-led majorities and committees. It can't possibly justify obstruction of witness subpoenas. It's nothing more than a phony cover for an obstruction that President Trump decided upon at the outset.
That's just like you decide, you want to obstruct all the scriptures I give you. Every scripture I'll give you a scripture to say you cannot declare yourself innocent and not guilty. And every scripture I give you, you obstruct. You say, that don't apply to me. That ain't 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 me. The same thing. Same exact thing.
His arguments are thus incorrect on their own terms.
Arguments are incorrect on their own terms, own human reason. You have no argument. You can't argue against the law. You can't argue against the word. So you have no foundation. The only foundation he got is his human reason. That's all he got. He don't obey no laws, Caleb. Don't no law apply to him. Just like don't no word apply to you. He sit and listen just like you do. Oh yes, he sit and listen. But he only pick and choose what he want to do. Just like you do.
And failed to explain this categorical order. One final irony, even before the argument in court today. At a recent oral argument in the D.C. Circuit, they made the same claim they made today. Let's pull up slide 56. In litigation again to enforce subpoenas, the judge said they can make it a grounds for impeachment for obstruction of Congress. And the president's own lawyers said impeachment is certainly one of the tools that Congress has.
But it don't apply to me. Y'all can use it against everybody but me. That's what he said.
We agree. It is one of the tools that you have for when a president would use a categorical obstruction of investigation in his own wrongdoing. It is a tool that should be applied here. There cannot be a better case for impeachment on obstructing a co-equal branch of Congress than the one before you, where the obstruction is so complete and so categorical. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Now, I want to read something to you. Out of the works of John Adams. I want to read this to you. I want to read some out of here on the works of John Adams, on power. I want to read you something on power. This was said about, this was said by, who was this said by? This is Dr. Frank. That's what, let me read to you just what this says right here. It says, of human nature, wit of human nature, wit, her worst may right. We all respect wit in our own despite. You're going to respect that human reason and your cleverness above anything else in the world. You got respect for anything. You got respect for your old nature. Remember, human reason is old nature. Human reason is a carnal mind. And you will respect that carnal mind and that old nature before you do anything. You will respect evil before you do anything. Before you respect and revere anything, you will respect and revere your opinion, your old nature, your carnal mind. That's your soul in bondage to the old nature, to the carnal mind, so you can understand. You will respect that above anything else. I don't care if you're wrong. You still going to respect your evil human nature. I want to read you some of Mr. Dr. Christ said. He said, a single assembly thus constituted without any counterpoise, balance, or equilibrium is to have all authority, legislative, executive, judicial, constituted in it. One single assembly. It is to make a constitution and laws by its own will, its own human reason. Execute those laws at its own pleasure. This is human reason. You the same way. Don't look at him. I'm just using that as a platform. But human reason is human reason. It is to make a constitution and laws by its own will. You take the word about, what did I just say? It is to make a constitution and laws by its own will. What did I just say? Your mind is your church. Your mind is your church. You make your own laws, you make your own rules, you make your own church in your own mind. Just like Thomas Paine said, my mind is my church. You make your own constitution. You take the word of God and you frame it the way you want it framed to fit your mind. And then when the House of Representatives come and show you wrong, you get angry with them. The House of Representatives is the prophets, the apostles, and me, and Jesus. So you despise the House of Representatives. But the only difference between them and us is all of us got one mind. We ain't Democratic and Republican.
Amen.
So you go through the congregation, you try to find you a Democrat to agree with you, or a Republican to agree with you. That's why we got to be all on the same man and have the same judgment. So there won't be no divisions and controversies. So that's why we don't go according to what? Private and personal feelings. I don't care how you feel. So you can understand what I'm saying, because I don't want you to get lost and focus on Trump. I don't want you doing that. I want you focusing on you. I want your soul focusing on that old nature. That's what I want you focusing on. Your human reason. A single assembly, thus constituted without any counterposed balance or equilibrium, is to have all authority, legislative, executive, and judicial, concentrated in it. It is to make a constitution and laws by its own will. You make your own instruction, your own laws, your own constitution, your own rules, your own principles, your own standards that you live by. And execute those laws at your pleasure. And to judge all controversies that arise concerning the meaning and application of them as its own discretion. What is there to restrain it from making tyrannical laws? In order to execute them and their power to discard them at the next election. Will restrain them. Excuse me. Will it be contended that the jealousy and diligence of the people and their power to discard them at the next election will restrain them? Even this idea supposes a balance and equilibrium, which Mr. Turgot holds in so much disrespect. This was the beginning when they're getting ready to establish laws and constitutions for the United States of America. Everybody was making their argument, so you can understand what I'm reading. They're getting ready to institute laws, and they're getting ready to institute principles for the establishment of the United States of America. And they telling them at the beginning, it's not gonna work. They're telling them at the beginning, JD, it's not gonna work. Because of the human nature of man. This is what they told them at the beginning of this United States of America. It wasn't gonna work. Because of the nature of man. So you can understand what I'm reading. And everybody got a chance to speak. This guy said, it ain't gonna work. Do what you want to do. I'm telling you, it's not gonna work. It says, it supposes that people at large to be a check and control over the representative assembly. Okay? So I'm gonna give you an idea. I want you to really understand what I'm saying. I want you to understand what I'm teaching you here. I want you to understand what I'm teaching. So this is what we're talking about. This is what he's talking about right here. This is what he's talking about right here. This is what he's talking about right here. This is what they had going on. This was going on, and this is what they're having a discussion here, what I'm reading you about. Before all of this is established. They said it wasn't gonna work, and it's not working. In the beginning, they said this will not work. So I want you to have a visual in your mind, because I'm going to go to scripture, and we're going to read a scripture that pertains to this. I already taught you, but we're going to read a scripture that pertains exactly to this. So I want you to have this picture in your mind. That this system, this is the world right here, what you're looking at. This is the system. Because y'all don't know what the world is. That's human reason. That's the world. That's mankind, all kinds of men. Because y'all still don't know what the world is. Y'all look at the world, y'all think the world is the trees, the moons, the stars. No, it's not. This is the world here. These are the people that make all the decisions in your life. This is who you are in bondage to. They rule you. So you can understand what the world is. Many of you still don't understand what's going on. This is human reason. That's human reason right there. That's a single assembly. Human reason, old nature, carnal mind, the devil's whore, mistress reason, a quaking morass of insubstantial speculation, human brain power. That's all of that right there. Carnal mind, old man, flesh, the heart. All of those terminologies I gave you, there it go right there. These are the ones I keep telling you. They can't tell me nothing. They can't tell me nothing. Not one thing. This is the wisdom of men. This is the wisdom of the world. That's what you're looking at now. This is what Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians, starting in chapter 1, verse 9 to the end of chapter 3. This is what I'm trying to get you all to understand. This is your college education. These are the ones who determine how much taxes you're going to pay. When you're going to pay it. Who you're going to pay it to. This is who determines whether you get your check or not. These are the ones that oppress you. This is the world. So you can understand. Because many of you still don't understand. These are the ones who charge you for your education, send you to college, and then you pay them back. You pay them. That's who you pay. That's who you're a slave to. That's who you owe. When you go to college, and you got to pay your money back. That's who you got to pay back. That's who taught you. Them, their ancestors, their fathers, their mothers, their children, their nieces, their nephews. Understand, because you guys still lost in this. So maybe this picture help you understand what the world is. This who crucified Christ. These are the ones. So you can get a picture in your mind. These are friends of the world. These are the enemies of God. Those are enemies of God. These are the enemies of God. Let me tell you, love not the world, neither the things of the world. If any man loves these people right there, the love of the Father is not in. I don't care nothing about them. They can't tell me nothing. There's nothing they can add to me. Nothing they can tell me, James Brown. Nothing. These are some stupid people. These are natural brute beasts. That's who these are. In case y'all don't understand. Because y'all have a lot of confidence in these people right here. I think they're very intelligent, very smart. These are the stupidest people in the world. Well, you can understand. Okay? These are the ones so you can understand. These are the ones that your sister and your brothers and y'all vote for and you argue about winning the house with your wife when you ain't got no business even discussing these damn crimes. This is the evil that's in the world. This is the evil that's in the world. This is the evil right here. It's the evil that's in the world. This is the whole world lying in wickedness. It's what it means when they say the whole world lies in wickedness. This is it right here. Because y'all don't understand what world is. This is the world. This is the wickedness right here. Because y'all still don't understand what it is. So I said I'm going to get some pictures and show you. Maybe this would help. This is who Kobe believed in. This who was crying about him. This is woe unto you when all men speak well of you. These are the emissaries of Satan. They politicians. These These are false teachers. These are the false apostles. Because many of you still don't understand what I mean when I say world. This is what I mean when I say world. This is what I mean when I say world. This is what I mean when I say world. Look at these snakes. This is what I mean when I say world. So you can understand. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Whispering like serpents in cahoots. You can see it. All in their faces. They're snakes. These are a generation of vipers. So you can understand. Because y'all don't understand what I'm saying. Y'all really don't be understanding what I'm saying. That's a devil right there. That's a devil. That's a distributor of fortunes. These are devils right here. Those are the one who these are the one who distribute the fortunes in your life. These are the devils. So you can understand. Many of you don't understand what a devil is. These are demons. So you can understand. It's these right here. That's the man they don't want that man. That's the one they don't want to put on the witness stand. That's Bolton. He's the one who wrote the book and exposed it. This is what it's all about. They might kill him. He better watch his back. This is the one they don't want to put on the window stand because he don't told everything. So now he's a traitor. So you can understand. That's the White House legal team. He's on Trump's side. That's White House. They say White House legal team. He's on their side. There it is. Battle over witness. Trump blasts Bolton book. He snapped on him. He used to be his national security advisor. Yes, he did. And so then he wrote the book and told on him. And then Trump turned around and started calling him a bunch of names. So they got his book up under investigation now. But these are the ones who make the decision. This is the letter they sent. Sent via electronic mail to cooperkirk.com. Thank you for speaking yesterday by telephone. They don't want him to put the book out. They said we want to investigate the book to make sure you don't have no classified information in it. It said the manuscript at the last sentence, the manuscript may not be published or otherwise disclosed without the deletion of this classified information. So the book is on hold because they want to look at the transcript to see if we got any classified information in it, which you don't. That is just to prolong the process. That's what they do. They prolong the process. Appeal. This is the way the system is set up. This may go on 30, 40 years. That's how it's designed. And the taxpayers pay for it while they argue back and forth with each other.
No.
A divided house can't stand.
No.
These are the ones they don't want them to come forth and testify against Trump.
No.
There you go right there.
No.
That's him.
No.
That's him again.
No.
That's how he should be. He's the one who's leading the impeachment. He's the impeachment manager. That's that old guy again. That's on the virus. I just wanted y'all to get some pictures in your mind so you can understand what I'm talking about. Many of y'all lost. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. Y'all so lost, y'all don't even know what I'm talking about when I'm preaching. That's what I'm talking about when I'm preaching. None of them can tell me nothing. The education system can tell you nothing. The law enforcement system can tell you nothing. Nobody, they can't tell me nothing, James Martin. That's the wisdom of the world. That's the wisdom of men.
Right, Lord.
I don't have no confidence and faith in them. That's what God told me to stay away from. Y'all don't understand.
Right.
So he's saying that this system will not work. This is the works of John Adams. John Adams was what, second president of the United States of America? Yes, he was the second president after George Washington. But this will be found, listen, it says,
Right.
it supposes that people at large to be in check and control over the representative assembly. It said this will be found to be a mere delusion. A jealousy between the electors and the elected neither ought to exist. You what he said? nor is it possible to exist. It is a contradiction to suppose that a body of electors should have at one moment a warm affection and entire confidence in a man so as to entrust him with authority. This is exactly what they're talking about. They entrusted him with authority. They voted for him. They trusted. And the Bible says trust no man. This is exactly what they're talking about this right here. I'm leading it up so you can understand what he's talking about. They entrusted Trump. They put him in office. They trusted him. He said that's crazy. To entrust one man with all that authority. It is. That's crazy. Jesus didn't have authority by himself. He had authority with the Father. That a body of electors should have at one moment a warm affection and entire confidence in a man so as to entrust him with authority, limited or unlimited, over their lives and fortunes. He's a demon. He distributes fortune. And this what this whole system is built upon. It's evil. And the next moment, after his election, to commence a suspicion of him. You got warm affection for him, you trust him, you put him in authority, you embrace him, you love him, then you turn around, now you're suspicious of him. You stupid, that's what you will. That's so y'all can understand how dumb mankind is. That's how dumb mankind is. Yes sir, nothing. You voted, you was like that. You still like that. You entrust your own nature.
Ow.
You trust you.
Ow.
You trust your own nature the same way. See, the next, so then when you're exposed and you call, now you're suspicious of yourself. You same way. Understand what I'm teaching. I'm talking about old nature. So as to entrust him with authority, your old nature, limited or unlimited, over your life and fortune, and the next moment after his election, to commence a suspicion of him that shall prompt him to watch all his words, actions, and motions. But they voted for him. You vote with human nature. Your soul takes the side with your old nature and dispose them to renounce and punish him. They chose him. They choose him, JD, indeed because they think he knows more and is better disposed than the generality, than the rest of the people. Look at how much money he got. And y'all think that's what they thought about COVID.
Ow.
Y'all think that they know so much because they got a lot of money. Money, they said in the beginning. Charles, they said that this system, this United States Constitution system, they said in the beginning it wouldn't work. I didn't know how these books was going to come out handy. I just bought all 4 of them. I said, let me get every one of them. Then it hit me today. I said, man, that scripture over there, I taught that. And then I said, oh, I remember I read John Adams saying that the system would work. They choose him indeed because they think he knows. Because he been to cemetery school, because he got an education. So you think they know because they educated in the Anglo-Saxon customs. Black man been duped there because he think he know, because he went to Harvard. This same man right here, this same man right here, I should have, this same man right here, he called his student a buffoon and he's stupid. Because his student is a black law scholar at Harvard. He called him out, which was his professor and teacher. They don't turn against each other. And then on CNN, Wolf say, no, don't discredit him like that. He haven't said nothing about you. He said, no. He called me a buffoon. He said this about me. He said, well, I'm not interviewing him. I'm interviewing you. So I don't want you to say nothing about him. Young black boy couldn't have been no more than about 30, 35 years old if he was that old. And he called him down. That was his professor because of the stupid statement he made. So when he went against him, now he want to talk about the one he taught like a dog.
Okay.
That's how they is.
Dogs turning on us.
Yes, they are turning on each other. You is 100% right. They say the same, it wouldn't work. It's not working. It will fall. They choose him indeed because they think he knows more and is better disposed than the generality, and very often even than themselves. Indeed, the best use of a representative assembly arises from the cordial affections and unreserved confidence which subsists between it and the collective body of the people. It is by such kind and candid intercourse alone that the wants and desires of the people can be made known, on the one hand, or of the needs of the public communicated or reconciled to them on the other. And what did such a confidence in one assembly end? In Venus, Geneva, Biscay, Poland, but in an aristocracy or an oligarchy. There is no special, there is no special sovereignty for Americans, and their nature is the same with that of others.
Amen.
Americans ain't no different than nobody else.
That's right. That's right.
What he just said, human nature is human nature.
I know.
And they said, I don't know why you Americans think it's going to be better than Venice, or Geneva, or Biscay, or Poland. Human nature is human nature. Just because y'all Americans, that don't make y'all better than nobody else.
Oh, man. That's true. Please.
We definitely think that.
Oh,
They're looking at us laughing now.
so.
Ukraine got a hold of them, and so do Russia. Dr. Price, to demonstrate the need of two assemblies in the legislature as well as of a third branch in it. And that's what they don't have. This is what is happening. What they need is what Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. You need to find the least, the one that don't have nothing to do with neither party. And you need to set him in the midst and allow him to make the judgment. They ain't gonna do that. He ain't got enough education. They need to just take somebody that ain't got nothing to do with the public, or somebody like me. And I'm going to the Word of God. I'm gonna show you the Word of God. I'm gonna make a decision based on God, and they don't want that. Because I'm gonna tell them, what I'm gonna tell them is like Charles gonna tell them. I say, okay, y'all know what we need to do, Trump fired, all of y'all fired, we finna start all over again. That's what I would do. I'd fire the Republicans, the Democrats, Trump, and we'll start all over again. That's what I'd do. All of y'all out of here.
Ow! Oh.
To demonstrate the necessity of two assemblies in the legislature as well as a third branch in it, to defend the executive authority, it may be laid down as a first principle that neither liberty nor justice can be secured to the individuals of a nation, nor is prosperity promoted but by a fixed constitution of government and stated laws known and obeyed by all. Inter indeed the falsity of the idea, so frequently repeated by almost all Republican writers, that liberty consists in being subject only to the law, as if a man could be free while oppressed by an unjust law. This would not be true even if we could suppose that all laws were the work of an assembly of the whole nation. For certainly every individual has his rights, of which the nation cannot deprive him except by violence and unlawful use of the general power. We often hear and read of free states, free people, free nation, free country, free kingdom, even of free republics. And we understand in general what is intended. Although every man may not be qualified to enter into philosophical discussions concerning the meaning or to give a logical definition of the word liberty. Our friend Dr. Price has distinguished very well concerning physical, moral, religious, and civil liberty, and has defined the last to be the power of a civil society to govern itself by its own discretion or by laws of its own making, by the majority in a collective body, or by fair representation. In every free state, every man is his own legislator. Legitimate government consists only in the dominion of equal laws made with common consent, and not in the dominion of any man over other men. And that did not apply to the slaves. Mr. Turk, however, makes the doctor do greater compliment at the expense of former English writers when he represents him as the first of his countrymen who was given a just idea of liberty and showed the falsity of liberty. So often repeated by almost all Republican writers, that liberty consists in being subject only to the laws. I shall cheerfully agree with M. Turgot that it is very possible that laws and even equal laws may be common consent, may deprive the minority of the citizens of their rights, which they do. A society by a majority, white folk, may govern itself even by equal laws, that is by laws to which all majority and minority are equally subject, so as to oppress the minority. And you are oppressed. It may establish a uniformity in religion. It may restrain trade. It may confine the personal liberty of all equally and against the judgment of many, even of the best and wise, and without reasonable motives, use of benefit. You may go farther and say that a nation may be unanimous in consenting to a law restraining its natural liberty, property, commerce, its moral and religious liberties to agree that may be prejudicial to the nation and to every individual in it. A nation of Catholics might unanimously consent to prohibit labor upon one half the days of the year and feast days. The whole American nation might unanimously consent to a Sunday law and a warden act, which should deprive them of the use of their limbs one day in seven. A nation may unanimously agree to a navigation act, which shall shackle the commerce of all. Yet Dr. Price's definition of civil liberty is as liable to this objection as any other. These would be all equal laws made with common consent. These would be all acts of legitimate government. To take in Mr. Turget's idea, then we must add to Dr. Price's ideas of equal laws by common consent and other, for the general interest of the public good. But it is generally supposed that nations understand their own interests better than another, and therefore they may be trusted to judge of the public good. In all of the cases above supposed, they will be as free as they desire to be, and therefore they may with great propriety be called free nations, and their constitutions free republics. There can be no way of compelling nations to be more free than they choose. Aristotle says that a government where the laws alone should prevail, Aristotle says that a government where the laws alone should prevail would be the kingdom of God. This indeed shows that this great philosopher had much admiration of such a government. But it is not the assertion that M. Turgot condemns, namely, that liberty consists in being subject to the laws only. Aristotle says too in another place, order is law, and it is more proper that law should govern than any one of the citizens upon the same principle. If it is advantageous to place the supreme power in some particular person, to place the supreme power in one particular person, they should be appointed, or he should be appointed to be only guardians of the servants of the law. These two are very just sentences, but not a formal definition of liberty. Living too speaks of happy, prosperous, and glorious times, but he nowhere says that liberty consists in being subject only to the legum imperial. Sidney says, no sedition was hurtful to Rome until their prosperity. Excuse me. No sedition was hurtful to Rome until through their prosperity some men gained a power above the laws. That's exactly what they say. We might just be, that might be another phase of one world order that we see happening right here in front of our face. Because if he don't be acquitted, they say, he's gonna be carte blanche, he do what he wanted to. I don't care, I'm just teaching you guys. Let me read this right here.
What?
See, in order to be fully convinced of this, we must take an extensive view of the subject. And the first question should be, what kind of beings men are? What kind of beings men are? You and I admire the fable of Tristan Shandy more than the fable of the bees, and agree with Butler rather than Hobbes. It is weakness. It is weakness rather than wickedness which renders men unfit to be trusted with unlimited power. This is what they say. This is not true. It's wickedness, not weakness. They got it backwards. They say it is weakness rather than wickedness which renders men unfit to be trusted with unlimited power. The passions are all unlimited. Nature has left them so. See, they don't believe in sin. They say nature has done that to man. Now, nature didn't do nothing to man. Sin done that to man, but this society, they don't believe in sin. They call it weakness. So if they could be bounded, they would be extinct. And there is no doubt they are of indispensable importance in the present system. They certainly increase too by exercise like the body. The love of gold grows faster than the heap of acquisition. The love of praise increases by every gratification. That's why it's not good to praise a lot of people. Every time you tell somebody, every time you praise somebody, what happens is they begin to grow more wickeder and wickeder and wickeder and wickeder. Because they begin, Erica, to have confidence and belief in themselves that they are good. The love of praise increases by every gratification till it stings like an adder. What did Kobe call himself?
Black Mamba.
You best believe they kept praising him, didn't they?
Yep.
They kept praising him, didn't they? They telling you about nature, human reason. This how it is. These white folks knew this before you was born.
Amen.
But they didn't call it wickedness, buddy. They called it weakness. They knew, but they didn't want to call it sin because they think they're good. They call it weakness. Let me show you in a minute. The love of gold grows faster than the heap of acquisition. You get what I say about it? You ain't even got a lot of it, but your love for it is growing and growing and growing and growing. Because you only got a damn little bit. You get that little bit for it, man, you ain't even got a lot. Your love for it don't grow. You ain't got enough of a half a bar. You got $2. Your love grow, oh boy, you want more money now, don't you? Ooh, that nigga got $1 in. Didn't he? That nigga got a job, he made $5. Good God, Martin. Ooh, that you couldn't tell him nothing. No, you doggone right. The love of gold, we get that little $2,000, $3,000 income tax check. We thought we was mad on top of the world. Didn't we?
What?
4 months we was broke as hell. The love of gold, we talking about human nature.
What?
The love of gold grows faster than a heap of acquisition. These are white folks, man. The love of praise increases by every gratification till it stings like an adder, bites like a serpent, till the man is miserable every moment when he does not snuff the incense, when he don't smell himself. Ambition strengthens at every advance and at last takes possession of the whole soul. So absolutely that a man sees nothing in the world of importance to others or himself but in his object. Tell me that nigga Kobe wasn't like that. You want me to read it again? I'll read it again. The love of gold grows faster than the heap of acquisition. The love of praise increases by every gratification till it stings like an adder, bites like a serpent, till the man is miserable every moment when he does not snuff the incense. He said he had to have more and more. He wanted to be the greatest. You too, when you was out there.
Amen.
No.
Ambition ambition strengthens at every advance, Charles. And last, ambition takes possession of the whole soul, Charles, so absolutely that a man sees nothing in the world of importance to others or himself but in his object.
That's right. That's right.
The subtlety of these three passions, which have been selected from all the others because they are aristocratical passions in subduing all others, and even the understanding itself, if not the conscious too, until they become absolute and imperious masters of the whole man.
That's right. That's right.
Is a curious subject of speculation. The cunning with which they hide themselves from others. And from a man himself too. He don't even see his own faults. He don't even see his own sins. Because they hid from him. Who can know his errors? Lord, deliver me. Secret faults. Secret sins. Can't even see him in himself. And I told y'all that. I'm telling these white folks didn't know that when they were starting this nation. I told y'all that. They know exactly what they was doing. They said it wouldn't work because of a man's human nature. The cunning with which they hide themselves from others and from a man himself too. The patience with which they want for opportunity. The torments they voluntarily suffer for a time to secure a full enjoyment and pleasure. The inventions, the discoveries, the contrivances that suggest to the understanding, sometimes in the dullest dunces in the world, if they could be described in writing, would pass for great genius. He just said they dumb as hell and that passes for genius. He said they stupid as hell, and I've been telling y'all that.
Okay.
Why y'all have so much confidence in your America, in your college, in your education,
What?
in your learning, in yourself? Worshiping and clapping, they crying for that nigga like he's some type of god or something. It's pathetic. This is what the white folks said about him. They used him. And he murdered everybody on that helicopter.
Oh.
Because it was him.
Go.
And they sold it to him. He was quiet. We are not enough acquainted with the physical and metaphysical effects produced on our own bodies or minds to be able to explain the particular reason why every instance of indulgence strengthens and confirms the subsequent emotions of desire, makes us worse and worse and worse and worse. I'm going to say, we are not enough acquainted.
That's right. That's right.
So we ain't even educated enough to know about it. They ain't had no word. We are not enough acquainted with the physical and metaphysical effects produced on our own bodies or minds to be able to explain the particular reason why every instance of indulgence strengthens and confirms the subsequent emotions of desire. The cause hitherto been too deep, remote, subtle for the search of physical or intellectual microscopes. But the fact is too decided to deceive or escape our observation. Men should endeavor at a balance of affections and appetites, deny self, under the monarchy of reason and conscience within, as well as at a balance of power without. If they surrender the guidance for any course of time to any one passion, they may depend on finding in the end a usurping, domineering, cruel tyrant. Okay? Go ahead and surrender yourself to homosexuality. You through. Surrender yourself to sex. You through. Surrender yourself to just one passion. One. Money. You through. Surrender yourself to one passion. You through. That's what they
Right,
say.
right.
Guess what?
Right.
You through.
Right. Right.
That's what I said. Once a sin get a grip on a man, sin get a hold on his mind, he through. If they surrender the guidance if they surrender the guidance, are they mad for any course of time to any one passion? They may depend upon finding it in the end. Usurping, domineering, cruel tyrant. They were intended by nature to live together in society, and in this way to restrain one another. And in general, they are a very good kind of creatures. But they know each other's imbecility so well that they are never, hey man, look, they said we know each other's imbecility so well, he said, that they are never to lead one another into temptation. But they do. Put the whiskey out there for you, they put the clothes out there for you, put the advertising on TV, put the car they're doing is leading you into temptation. Every time you see a commercial,
Right.
think.
Right.
Lead not into temptation. Every time they put something out there, show you on TV. Every time they advertise something, they leading you into temptation. They leading you into temptation.
Right.
Every time they advertise something, they are leading you into temptation.
That's right. That's right.
The passion that is long, the passion that is long indulged and continually gratified becomes mad. The passion that is long indulged and continually gratified become mad. You get the buddy get a hold on you. That's, hey. You get a hold on you. That passion get a hold on you. You can't break yourself from. Ain't no way Trump can break himself from power. That man got power. Don't you know they got a hold of him? You ain't telling him nothing. If one passion get a hold on you, you can't let it go. It is a species of delirium. It should not be called guilt, but insanity. Who would trust his life, liberty, and property to a madman? Or an assembly of madmen? They can't tell me nothing. Those are madmen. You crazy? It would be so far to confide in names. 500 and 5,000 together in the assembly are not less liable to this extravagance than one. The nation that commits its affairs to a single assembly will surely find that its passions and desires augment as fast as those of a king. And therefore a constitution with a single assembly must be centrally defective. Defective! A constitution with a single assembly is defective.
It's broke, send it back.
Thank you. Through, man. Others have seen this quality in human nature through a more gloomy medium. Machiavelli says, those who have written on civil government lay it down as a first principle, and all historians demonstrate the same, that whoever will found a state and make proper laws for the government of it must presume that all men are bad by nature.
Who said that?
Machiavelli, M-A-C-H-I-A-V-E-L. Machiavelli, M-A-C-H-I-A-V-E-L. Those who have written on civil government lay it down as a first principle. All historians demonstrate the same. Whoever would find a state and make proper laws for the government of it must presume that all men are bad by nature, that they will not fail to show their natural depravity of heart whenever they have a fair opportunity.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And that though it may be possible to lie for a while concealed on account of some secret reason which does not then appear to men of small experience, yet time, which is therefore justly called the father of truth, commonly brings it to light in the end. Machiavelli's translator remarks that although this seems a harsh supposition, does not every Christian daily justify the truth of it by confessing it before God and the world? And are we not expressly told the same in several passages of the Holy Scriptures and in all systems of human philosophy? Montesquieu says, constant experience shows us that every man invested with power is apt to abuse it.
Montesquieu.
Who?
Montesquieu.
Montesquieu says, constant experience shows us
What?
that every man invested with power is apt to abuse it.
What?
He pushes on till he comes to something that limits him.
What?
It is not strange, though true, to say that virtue itself has needs of limits. To prevent the abuse of power, it is necessary that, by the very disposition of things, power should be a check to power. A government may be so constituted as that no man shall be forced to do things to which the law does not oblige him, nor forced to abstain from things which the law permits. So endless and exorbitant are the desires of men that they will grasp at all and can form no scheme of perfect happiness with less. It is hard to recollect one foolishness, infirmity, or vice to which a single man is subjected, and from which a body of commons, collective, or representative, and he might have added for a body of nobles, can be wholly exempt. Swift. Laws are intended not to trust. Laws are intended not to trust to what men will do, but to guard against what they might do.
Right.
Sister man,
What?
man is messed up. Let's look at this right here. Get your Amplified Bible. This is what I want you to say, and I showed y'all this. This is what I want you to say. Amplified Bible, I want you to go to Psalms 82. We're going to read this. Psalms 82. And I taught this already. And here we go right here. Here we go right here. Psalms 82. Psalms 82. Psalms 82. Psalms 82. Psalms 82. And move. Psalms 82. Psalms 82. Y'all can look at it in the King James Bible. I just wanted to read it in Amplified because it breaks it down and it shows you exactly what I was talking about. I already taught on it. Psalms 82. But I want you to see it in Amplified so you can see. Now look at the picture. Look at that picture. Get that in your mind. Follow me along as I read. God stands in the assembly of the representatives. He's there. In the midst of the magistrates or judges, he gives judgment as among the gods. How long will you magistrates or judges judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Pause and calmly think of that. Do justice to the weak, poor, fathers. They ain't even got them on their mind. They ain't even got them on their mind. They ain't got the weak on their mind. They ain't got the poor on their mind. They ain't got the fatherless on their mind. They got themselves on their mind. They ain't just standing up there being swearing in for the poor, the weak, and the fathers. They ain't even got them on their mind, Ronnie. Do justice to the weak, poor, and fathers. Maintain the rights of the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rescue them out of the hand of the wicked. It says the magistrates and judges know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in the darkness of complacent satisfaction. All the foundations of the earth, the fundamental principles on which rests the administration of justice, are shaken. There you go right there.
My Lord.
Exactly what he's talking about in Psalms 82. Exactly what he's talking about. I said, you are God's, since you judge on my behalf as my representatives. Indeed, all of you are children of the Most High. And he gives you Romans 13:1. It said, but you shall die as men and fall as one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for to you belong all the nations.
Right.
Now, you have to get over here to Proverbs 24:29. I want to read you something. Turn your Bible to Romans. Romans chapter 3, verse number 9. Romans 3:9. Romans 3:9. I'm going to read something to you. Romans 3:9. Romans 3, verse number 9. Romans 3:9. Romans 3:9. What then? Are we better than they? It's Paul talking about Jews and the Gentiles, talking about all mankind. He said, what then? Are we better than they? Not at all. I'm reading to you out of Romans, the Lectio Continua Expository Commentary of the New Testament by J.B. Fesco. Excellent book. I'm going to read it to you the way he got it in here. Excellent book. He said, what then? Are we better than they? Not at all. For we have previously charged both Jews and Greeks that they are all under sin. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none who understands. There is none who seeks after God. They have all turned aside. They have together become unprofitable. There is none who does good, no, not one. Their throat is an open tomb. With their tongues they have practiced deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways. The way of peace they have not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Now we know that whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law that every mouth may be stopped and all the world, 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 all the world may become guilty. Everybody is guilty. Everybody in there is guilty. All the world. You guilty. Your mama guilty. Your grandmama was guilty. All the world. Your wife, your husband, your children. All the world. All mankind may become guilty before God. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, no flesh will be justified in his sight. But by the law is the knowledge of sin. Let me read to you what Friedrich Nietzsche said. Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche. What?
Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche. 1844 to 1900. Famous atheist philosopher. Once opined that the concept of sin was something that the church invented. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844-1900, famous atheist philosopher, once opined that the concept of sin was something that the church invented to hold man in check, to keep him demoralized and under the thumb of the church. The concept of guilt and punishment, the entire moral world order, was invented in opposition to science, in opposition to the detaching of man from the priest. Man shall not look around him, he shall not look down into himself, he shall not look prudently and cautiously into things in order to learn. He shall not look at all, he shall suffer. He shall suffer in such a way that he has no need of the priest at all times. Away with physicians. One has need of a Savior. The concept of guilt and punishment, including the doctrine of grace, of redemption, of forgiveness, lies through and through and without any psychological reality. Sin, to say it again, that form par excellence of the self-violation of man, was invented to make science, culture, every kind of elevation and nobility of man impossible. The priest and the preacher rules through the invention of sin. Within Nietzsche's idea is the kernel of the inherent goodness of man. If there is no sin, then there is no guilt. If there is no guilt, then there is no judgment. If there is no judgment, then there is no need of redemption. Ethically, therefore, humanity can decide what is good and what is bad, or even decide that nothing is truly evil. Nietzsche's views are not uncommon. All we have to do is look around us. Everywhere people assert the basic and intrinsic goodness of humanity. People define ethical right or wrong based on how they feel. You too?
Yes, sir.
People define ethical right and wrong based on Yet surprisingly enough, there has been a string of theologians, even those praised by conservative evangelicals, who affirm inherent goodness in men, talking about preachers. Charles Finney, 1792 to 1875, the one who brought into the church, accept Christ as your personal Savior. Charles Finney is the one who brought into the church, put the chair up in the front of the church and called it the Angel's Bed, and told the people, you can come up now and accept Christ as your personal Savior. Charles Finney brought that into the church. And your mom and dad told you, y'all need to get there and accept Christ as your personal Savior. That's what Kobe did before he died in the helicopter. He accepted Christ that morning. He went to morning mass, got down on his knees. They put the little cookie God, the weight on his tongue. He got in the damn helicopter and God killed him for accepting Christ. See, they accept Christ. He accepted Christ Sunday morning before he got on the helicopter. He went to quote mass. So they go down and kneel in front of the church, and then the Roman Catholic priest put the little white cookie God and the white wafer on his tongue. Even his daughter and the rest of them they probably all went to mass together when they go on a helicopter, and God killed them for accepting him. And that was supposed to protect him throughout the day. Yes, surprisingly enough, there has been a string of theologians, even those praised by conservative evangelicals, who affirmed the inherent goodness of man. Charles Finney, 1792 to 1875, touted as America's greatest revivalist. For example, writes, the human will is free. Therefore, men have power or ability to do all their duty. The moral government of God everywhere assumes and implies the liberty of the human will and natural ability of man. This is Charles Finney. To obey God, every command, every threat, every expostulation, denunciation of the Bible implies and assumes this. Paul paints an entirely different picture in case Paul's recipients had not been paying attention to what he wrote in Romans 1:18, and chapter 1, verse 18 through chapter 3 and 8. He makes his point explicitly clear here in Romans chapter 3, 9 through 20. Paul caps his argument by demonstrating the universal sinfulness of all humanity, Jew, Gentile. Paul's indictment, how moreover, has no expiration date, no shelf life that would confine his words to the first century. I love that too, Charles. I love the way you did that. I love it. I love it. I just reached up on I said, let me see what this says. Not pull it down. I haven't been able to put it back up. I've been reading for 3 days. Rather, his words possess abiding authority until the end of the age. Hence, they are relevant even to this day. Universal sinfulness and guilt. If the creation narrative is any indication of human nature, one God levels a charge of guilt at a person's feet. He immediately seeks a way to avoid. When God lays the charge of guilt at a man's feet, Ronnie, that man immediately seeks a way to avoid, swerve away, or shift the blame. Fully aware of this habit, Paul makes this point abundantly clear. What then? Are we better than they? Not at all. For we have frequently charged both Jews and Greeks that they are all under sin, Romans 3 and 9. In a sin-fallen world, sometimes the obvious is not so obvious. Paul, therefore, makes this point clear. All people, whether Jew or Gentile, are guilty of sin, and therefore liable to God's judgment. To support his point, Paul draws on the Old Testament, particularly the book of Psalms, to prove humanity's universal guilt. Paul loosely quotes Psalms 14, 1 to 3. There is none righteous, no, not one. There is none who understands. There is none who seeks after God. They have all turned aside. They have together become unprofitable. There is none who does good, no, not one. Romans 3, 10 through 12. When the New Testament author quotes an Old Testament passage, he does not merely have the specifically cited words in mind, but often the entire chapter. Or even larger portions, such as an entire book of the Bible. In this case, it is instructive that Psalms 14:2 states, the Lord looks down from heaven upon the children of men, which means that Paul accurately uses the text. God, through the psalmist, testifies to humanity's universal guilt. What rabbi or pious Jew would disagree with God's authoritative word? And in case someone might try to squirm away from God's all-knowing, all-seeing judgment, the psalmist very clearly states that no one, not one, is righteous. There is one exception to this rule, but we will consider this below. Talking about Jesus. Paul adds further authoritative testimony from the Psalms when he writes, their throat is an open tomb, with their tongues they have practiced deceit. With their tongues they have practiced deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Romans 3:13 and 14. Paul does not randomly quote the series of statements from the Old Testament. Psalms 5:9, Jeremiah 5:16, Psalms 140 and 3, 10 and 7. But specifically focuses on the mouth. He specifically focuses on the mouth. He focuses on the mouth. Paul compares the collective mouth of sin-filled humanity to an open tomb, which if Lazarus' post-mortem state is any indicator, it is ranked with malodorous stench of death. John 11:39. Paul's word picture stands in stark contrast to the pleasant aroma of the prayers of the saints. Confer Exodus 25:6, 30 and 7, Revelations 8:3 through 4. In this vein, recall that when the prophet Isaiah when the prophet Isaiah, I just taught y'all this, beheld the pre-incarnate Christ, he cried out, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King of the Lord of hosts, Isaiah 6:5, confer John 12:41. Why do Isaiah and Paul focus on the mouth and lips? Because they are a window into the soul. You listen to what come out of man's mouth and come through his lips, you can tell exactly what's going on in his soul. You can see right into his soul when the words come out of his mouth. You can see right into his soul. That's why Paul focuses on the mouth. That's why I keep telling y'all they can't tell me nothing. Because what's in there is rotten. It's stench of death. That's why no human being can tell me nothing. Don't come trying to tell me nothing out of your human reason. You can't tell me nothing. Nothing. I'll never be on human reason side. Never.
Oh. Wait.
I'll never be on human reason side. It's stench of death. Don't be looking at me like I'm crazy. Don't end up with no human reason, no human being got to say. It stinks. Your breath stinks. What do Isaiah and Paul focus on the mouth and lips? Because they are a window into the soul. Remember Christ's words drawn from Isaiah the prophet? Well did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written, these people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. A facade of insincere praise. A whitewashed tomb does not fool God. The seraphim, for example, continually utter forth the praise of God with their lips. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. This is precisely what we are supposed to do with our own lips, according to the book of Hebrews. Therefore, by him let us continually offer the praise, the sacrifice of praise to God. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to him, Hebrews 13:15. Yet far from praise, which reflects a heart positively disposed to loving and fearing God, Paul demonstrates that unbelieving man is totally sinful. Praise does not fill his lips. Whether the poison of asps or serpents is under his lips. If sinful humanity has the wretched stench of death rising from his mouth, anytime you speak according to human reason, that's the stench of death coming out of your mouth. Your breath stinks, your life stinks. When you speak according to human reason, when your soul listens to human reason, and you speak what human reason dictates to your soul and it comes out of your mouth, that's the stench of death. Your life stinks. That's the poison of asps. Yeah, Ronnie.
And in the definition of the word mouth, it says foul hole.
I remember you telling me that. That's exactly what it is. It's a foul hole. Anytime you use human reason, you speak from human reason out of your mouth. You did that. You had the stench of death on your lips, Cleo. I text you, I said, do you want to go Friday or do you want to go next week? You goes into human reason and you tells me we will determine it Thursday. You turned around and go make me sheep and you shepherd. I asked you, do you want to go Friday or next week? You text me back, we will determine it Thursday. How you gonna tell me that? That was human reason. You weren't paying attention. It wasn't important to you. Well, that's why I text you back. I didn't ask you, did you want me, did I want you to determine? I asked you, do you want to go Friday or next week? You should have said Friday or next week. You should have texted me back. We will determine it Thursday. That was you trying to control me and tell me what to do. Wasn't it? Yes. You weren't paying attention to what you was doing. You're not aware of that because that's what you're used to. You haven't learned it. That's human reason. You still haven't learned what human reason is. If sinful humanity has the wretched stench of death rising from its mouth and the caustic poison of serpents under its lips, then it should be no surprise that valley marks fall to me. Once again, here we go. Paul draws damning testimony from the Old Testament, Proverbs 1:16, Isaiah 59:7 through 8, to prove his point. Here we go right here. Here we go right here. Here we go right here. Like an expert attorney in the courtroom, Paul is there. Paul elicits irrefutable evidence against the accused through his witness, the Holy Spirit. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways. And the way of peace they have not known. Paul uses the infallible, authoritative testimony of Scripture to substantiate the charge that fallen humanity has wickedness, not weakness. Fallen humanity has wickedness that not only remains in his heart, but gushes out and gives birth to violence and murder. 1 John 3:15. 1 John 3:15. 1 John 3:15. 1 John 3, come on, Charles, I need you to read. 1 John 3:15. I need you to get there with me and read. 1 John 3:15. Come on, Jeremiah, pay attention, Charles, get ready to read. I want you in your Bible. You got your Bible, Charles?
This is my King James.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Read. 1 John 3:15. Read.
Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding.
Thank you right there. They hate each other. 1 John 2:11, JD. 1 John 2:11. Whoso hateth his brother is a murderer. Read.
But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes.
Thank you very much. 1 John 2:9, Charles, read.
Amen. He that saith he is in the light
Thank you.
and hateth his brother is in darkness even until now.
Thank you very much. John 12:25. John 12:25. These men in terms about they hate each other. No.
Yes.
They hate each other. stand up there at the same time I pledge allegiance to the flag, put their hand on the heart, they gonna stand there. And then it was a shame the way they was going at each other. Just like snakes biting at each other all day long. It's pathetic. Read, J.D.
He that loveth his life shall lose it.
Is anyone trying to lose their life? No, each one I'm trying to say. They hate each other. Read.
And he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal.
John 4:20. 1 John 4, verse number 20. Father, humanity is wickedness that not only remains in his heart, but gushes out and gives birth to violence and murder.
Amen.
Like an overrun sewer, the vile contents of man's heart flows out into the streets, and wicked thoughts become manifest in sinful action. 1 John 4:20, read, Charles.
If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God, whom he hath not seen?
All right, let's go to Proverbs chapter 24.
What?
Proverbs chapter 24.
What?
Keep that picture up there, keep the picture in mind. Keep that picture in mind when we read Proverbs 29. Are you there? Proverbs 29. Are you there? Proverbs chapter 29. I might have said 24. But I'm on Proverbs 29. 24 is my verse. Proverbs 29. Are you there? Amen. Verse number 5.
Amen.
Verse number 5.
Amen.
Read, Charles.
A man that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth a net for his feet.
Bam! There you go right there. They flattered the neighbor, didn't they?
Yes.
Did he flatter? Did Trump flatter him?
Yes.
Do the politicians flatter their neighbors?
Yes.
Do they turn around and vote for them?
Yes.
They set their own net to their feet. A man that flattered his neighbor spreaded a net for his feet. Did they vote for him?
Oh, yeah.
They trapped themselves, didn't they?
Yes.
No.
Politician flatter him, didn't they? Yes. Politician flattered his neighbor and they voted for him, right?
Yes.
Said that you trapped yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
What you do? You don't flatter your neighbor. You said that you trapped for yourself. A man that flattered his neighbor spread the net for his feet. Verse number 6, it says, in the transgression of evil man, in the transgression of an evil man, there is a what?
Snare.
Verse number 8, it says, scornful men bring a city. There you go.
Into a snare.
I wish I had a witness.
What?
Verse number 11.
What?
What is that?
A fool uttereth all his mind.
All right, let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you what it's talking about. Let me show you what it's talking about. Look. That's Trump. It say Trump's history of attacks on his what? Rick. It say a fool does what?
Uttereth all his mind.
Rick Tillerson. He called him dumb as a rock and lazy as hell. Steve Bannon, sloppy and dumb like a dog. It's your president. Jeff Sessions should be ashamed of himself. Michael Cohen, bad lawyer and fraudster. This is what he said about all of these men. Now, according to the impeachment, according to a clause in the impeachment, according to the clause in the impeachment, he's supposed to be impeached. It says congressional materials have cautioned that the grounds for impeachment do not fit neatly and logically into categories because the remedy of impeachment is intended to reach a broad variety of conduct by officers that is both serious and incompatible with the duties of the office. Congress has identified 3 general types of conduct that constitute grounds for impeachment, although these categories should not be understood as exhaustive. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Improperly exceeding or abusing the powers of the office. He's guilty. According to this right here. Behavior incompatible with the function and purpose of the office. Hello? Hello? There you go right there.
Governing over 300 million people, and that's how you did it?
There you go right there. Anthony Scaramucci. Highly unjust for a nut job in middle grade. or morose manner of, disgusting and foul mouth. Now, look what he said about her, and look at all this we read. See, it says, a fool utter it.
What?
God, never a big thing. He flattered his neighbor, he spread his net 4 feet. Scornful men bring the city to snare. A fool uttereth all his mind. Look at verse number 12. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. Wow. There you go right there. Just say all his servants are wicked. Do you hear? All of these people are wicked. They're his servants. Yeah. Look at verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, what happens?
Transgressors increase.
But what happens?
Righteous shall see their fall.
We're gonna see exactly when these men fall. Verse number 19.
Okay.
A servant will not be corrected by what?
Words.
For though he understand, I ain't telling y'all nothing.
I think so.
That's what it is.
So.
He ain't gonna. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. He say you ain't subpoenaing him and do nothing.
Be a civil servant.
Thank you. How about 22? Here you go right there. An angry man stirred up what?
Strife.
And a furious man abounded in what?
Transgression.
There you go right there. Said a man's pride. Break it. Here we go right there.
Oh, mama.
Here we go right there. Here we go right here. Here we go right here. This is my verse. Whoso was partner. The word partner is the word kalak. C-H-A-L-A-Q. It means to divide, to share the plunder. All of them sharing the plunder, right?
Yeah.
It means to portion. It means deceitful. It means to be smooth, slippery, and deceitful. It means to flatter. Whoso is partnered with a thief. The word thief is the word the knob. It means to steal away. It means to deceive. It means sly action or behavior, dishonesty, deception, craftiness. He taking the word in their own word.
Practice.
Keys. In the car.
So whoso is partnered with a thief, hated. He said, aroused or deserved hatred. Hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing. He heareth the person, the thief, denouncing cruelly. Did he not do that? Did he not denounce these people cruelly?
Yeah.
Did he not speak abusively? Did he not speak contemptuously against these people? Did he not speak profane and obscene against these people? Did he not express hatred, anger, and vexation?
Yes, he did.
It say, whoso is partnered with the thief hated his own soul. Hated his own soul. That is all of these people here, especially Republicans. They hate their own soul. They hated their own soul. He heareth cursing. You hear this right here.
Right?
You hear it. You hear it.
Oh, no.
And parade. You don't step boldly out opposite to it. You don't front it. Word of God. It means to front. You don't front him. You don't stand. You partner with him instead of stand boldly opposite to him. Instead of standing boldly the opposite to you partner with them. Berate. Berate means to front, to stand boldly out opposite. Whoso is partnered with a thief hated his own soul. He heareth cursing and expose always by word of mouth to one present not. He won't even inform them. Whoso is partnered with a thief hateth his own soul, he heareth cursing and inform not. They wouldn't even tell him. It makes the tale. You hear it. You hear it. And you won't tell him. He tweet, he text, he talk, dumb as a rock, lazy as hell. That's obscene. That's cursing. That's speaking of Bruce. Sloppy and dumb, dumped like a dog. That's denouncing him cruelly and viciously. That's brutally. Highly unjust, a nut job, mental wreck. That's to invoke evil upon. He invoking evil upon these people. That's what the word cursing means. It's the word Allah. Cursing is the word Allah. It means to invoke evil. Up on. And you ain't gonna tell on them. You ain't gonna stand boldly up opposite with them and separate from them. You become a partner to them. You partner to a thief. Preach. Die and go to hell, every one of them. You don't partner with the old nature. Old nature is a thief. You partner with the old nature. You listen to the old nature. You know it invokes evil upon people. You know how your old nature is. And you partner with your old nature. You hate yourself. You hate your own soul.
Lying, don't confess it.
Preach. That's what it means. Amen. Whoso is partnered with a thief hateth his own soul, he heareth cursing and fronteth not. Stand boldly out opposite. To announce. To expose always by word of mouth to one present. Inform on. You don't publish it. You don't declare it. You don't confess it. You don't acknowledge it. I don't know how you know I had confessed down here, but I sure do. You don't tell it. But look what it says. Whoso put his trust in the Lord shall be saved. Watch out now, Ronnie. Many seek the ruler's faith.